This is John Colo at DiscountJuicer.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and in this episode what I'll be doing is we're going to be comparing the two best Omega slow juicers on the market. Omega makes many different juicers, and they've been an established US based company, like probably one of the oldest juicing companies in existence today, and they make many models. And I've selected the two best juicers to compare for you guys today so that you guys could know which Omega juicer is simply the best. I mean, here's the thing, every juicer, Omega or otherwise, has its whole set of pros and cons. There's good things about juicers and there's bad things about juicers. Many manufacturers would only like to tell you the good stuff. I'll kind of tell you guys how it is, and more importantly, I'll show it to you guys how it is, and I'll tell you the pros and the cons of every model so that you could select the best one. It's kind of like when you're shopping for a car, right? There's many different kind of cars on the market. There's sports cars, SUVs, trucks, minivans, wagons, and the kind of car you're going to get depends on what you're going to do. I mean, all cars get you from point A to point B, but some might get you there in style and some might haul your 2x4s. Same thing with the juicers. I think one of the things that I want you guys to realize is that I want you guys to select the juicer that's going to best do what you want. Like, you need to select the car that's going to best serve you. Like, if you're a construction guy, you're going to need to get a truck. And if you're a family and you got 6 kids, you're going to need to get a minivan, right? Same thing with the juicers. If you want to juice certain kinds of produce items, you're going to want to get one kind of juicer. And if you're going to juice other produce items, you're going to get another juicer. So hopefully in this episode, I'm going to explain to you guys the pros and cons and the differences between these two machines so that you guys could get the right one for you. Now, the first thing I want to say is that both these juicers have a full 15-year warranty. 15-year warranty is the longest warranty in the juicing industry, and actually Omega is responsible for having and being the first with having the longest warranty in the juicing industry. And both these machines have that 15-year warranty. This is your assurance that you will have a juicer that will work for the next 15 years. There's a lot of inexpensive juicers on the market. I've tested many of them, coming in from China that are a fraction of the price of these guys. John, I can get a juicer for half the price or a third of the price of one of the juicers you're talking about. Well, the price, it's an important factor. Some of you guys might not have a lot of money, but what I would recommend is save the money. Saving the money is worth it because some of the cheap juicers may have 0 warranty. They may have a short 1-year warranty. And, if it breaks after 1 year, even if you saved a lot of money, you have to buy another one. With the Omega, for the next 15 years, provided you're not dropping it, your dog didn't chew it up, it's going to be covered under warranty if it breaks due to no fault of your own, due to manufacturer's defective parts. And that's number one. Number two thing is really important is Omega is here to stand behind the warranty. They're one of the longest established companies in the United States selling juicers. I can only think of like maybe 2 that are longer, Champion and Norwalk, and then Omega's like probably the next company that's long standing. So they're a solid company, gonna be here so you guys could get warranty support, because even a long warranty, if the company's shady or disappears, is not a good warranty in my opinion. The other thing about these two machines that separate them from many, but not all of the other juicers in the Omega line is that these machines are made in South Korea. Some of the Omega juicers are made in China these days in Omega's very factories, that have high quality standards, but I find that the South Korean factories, are, just a little bit more dialed in and produce a little bit better juicer. And that's why I like these particular two models. Now over on this side we have the Omega NC900 HD, that's heavy duty SS, stainless steel, because we have a stainless steel body here. Only the stainless steel body is this part, and this part is all plastic. Now this model is approximately $30 more than the vertical juicer that you'll learn about in a second, but Omega also does have a less expensive model, about $100 less for the plastic body, that's silver, of this model. And for about $50 less, you could get the chrome-plated plastic version of this model. My personal favorite is this model because it's all stainless steel. It's nice, heavy-duty, plus this funnel shape and this design looks a little bit more attractive than the older style design. That being said, all 3 of the NC800, NC900 HD S, or the NC900 HD SS, which is this one, will perform the same and get the same exact yields, right? And this is the horizontal single auger, and the reason why I like this machine, there's several reasons that we'll go over in a second. But the main reason I think is because it's like a no-brainer juicer. I know a lot of you guys, and maybe girls too, don't read the instruction manual, right? And this one, pretty much, you put the produce in. I always encourage you guys to rotate the produce. Put it in, push the produce in, and it juices right up. It's pretty uncomplicated, very simple to use. The Omega, over here, the VSJ843 HD, and this is the HD QS, stands for the square model, which is silver. They also come in a red model at present time. This one's a little more complex to use. I don't want to say you got to be a little bit smarter, but you got to pay attention more. And minimum, you got to just watch one of my videos. Juice like a pro in any vertical slow juicer. I've had a rash of customers lately email me, John, this juicer doesn't juice more than 16 ounces before it gets clogged up and backed up and it doesn't work. John, this juicer that you recommended to me, I tried to juice 36 carats and it bombs. It doesn't work. It backs up, it clogs up, it makes a pulpy juice and it's garbage and I want to return it, And I get emails like this all the time on the VSJ843. Well, maybe not all the time, but maybe once every few weeks, right? And I respond nicely, and basically I let them know that, this machine, it's kind of like that ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend you had, right? If you treat that girlfriend really nice, she's the nicest, sweetest girl in the whole wide world. But if you treat her wrong, you treat her bad, then she's a really bad witch, right? And replace the W in witch with a B, right? And she could be really mean to you, right? Literally. And we all know people could be like that. But the same thing is true with juicers, right? This guy or this girl, if you don't treat it right, you don't juice properly in it, you just start cramming stuff in there, you push things with the pusher, which seems like that's how you would juice in a juicer, right? It's going to really mess up on you and not really work properly. So you do got to pay some attention. So if you're one of the people that don't want to kind of finesse or kind of learn some of these intricacies of this machine, then by all means you're going to want to get the NC series, because this one's pretty hard to gem up and mess up. You just put the stuff in, rotate the items you're putting in, and it's going to juice with little backup clogging or anything like that. This, on the other hand, you could have some further challenges with. That being said, each of these juicers can juice the same things, right? That being said, although they can juice the same things, one or the other juicer will tend to juice certain produce items a little bit better. What do I mean by better? Well, better means ease of use / yield, right? So, for example, like wheatgrass, if you're like on a Ann Wigmore diet, Hippocrates, diet, and juicing a lot of wheatgrass and sprouts and leafy greens, and microgreens, then I would recommend this machine, because this machine won't get clogged up when juicing wheatgrass. You could put, a flat of wheatgrass through here, it'll juice out, keep spitting out the pulp, keep juicing, no problem whatsoever. On the same token, I've juiced a pound of wheatgrass in the VSJ with not cutting it up, just putting in whole slabs of wheatgrass. Worked horribly. I'll put a link down below to the video if I remember. It clogged up, it jammed up. It wasn't playing nice, right? But then, about a year later, I took a similar pound of wheatgrass and pre-cut it with scissors, right? Into little 1/8-inch pieces. And then I fed it through the machine, and then it worked beautifully. It was great. It worked amazing. I was so impressed. And so that's the difference, proper use and using the machine properly. Like with the regular wheatgrass, just cut it, put it in, push it in, and it works. With this one, you gotta find it, do a few things differently to get the best results from it. So that's why I say, if you're gonna juice maybe like more than 50% leafy greens along with vegetables and some fruits, then this is definitely your baby. That being said, in an episode where I juice collard greens from my very garden, and if I remember, I'll put a link down below to that video, between this guy and this guy, actually, they were really close in yield, but the VSJ843 made a little bit more yield when juicing after straining, and even before straining, it made a little bit more yield. It made a little bit more foam, but it did make actually more yield when juicing collard greens. Collard greens are not wheatgrass. And the other thing I want to let you guys know is that I just stuck the collard greens in whole on this side, and on this side I had to chop up the collard greens into little pieces before dumping it in. So if you're one of the people that would rather chop things up and just drop it in a handful at a time, this machine's for you. And if you don't want to chop stuff up and deal with that hassle, you want to take the collard greens whole, roll them up into like a cigar, put them in the feed chute, and then push each one in, then this one's for you. I happen to be in the category where I really don't mind chopping things up, right? I personally really dislike pushing each leaf into the hopper, right? Overall, depending on what kind of volume you're juicing, right? If you're juicing small quantity, it might be a wash in time. They might take a similar amount of time. But if you're juicing a larger quantity, then surely, you know, the VSJ is a little more quicker, because literally you could be sitting there chopping, dropping things in, chopping, dropping things in, let the machine work, so you're actually multitasking, so it's going to go a little bit faster. Whereas with this machine, you got to put one leaf in, push it down, take your next carrot, put it in, chunk, 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 put it down, and that's going to slow you down if you need to make a bigger volume. So if you need to make large volumes, don't mind cutting up your stuff. Going to do less than 50% or 50% or less of greens, and do, you know, not a lot of wheatgrass, and you don't mind cutting up, then this would be your baby. That being said, you know, if you want to do something like fruits, right? This one may excel at wheatgrass, but this guy easily excels at juicing softer produce items, right? Juicing softer produce items in this machine may give you some hardship, right? You may put pineapples through here, and because the pineapple texture is so soft, it's just going to sit in there and not really get ejected out. So then you'll need to adjust this outlet adjusting knob to like 1, because it's adjustable 0 to 5, or even take it off to juice pineapple, and even then it might get stuck in the machine. Whereas on the VSJ, you know, I could juice pineapple straight, and I do have a video on this proper technique to use when juicing pineapple. I'll put a link down below if I remember in the description. I've juiced 2 pineapples straight in this machine without getting clogged, and pineapples can be a challenge in any vertical slow juicer, but not the VSJ if done properly. So that's what I like about this machine, you know, over this one. It does fruits in general a lot better. Now, yeah, some fruits will be easily juiced in both machines. That being said, the way this guy works is that it may put more excess pulp in your juice on soft, you know, on soft fibrous produce items. So for example, an apple, right? An orange is a little bit different than an apple. You squeeze an orange, you get juice out, but if you squeeze an apple, you're going to get apple sauce. So because there's a first stage screen, as soon as something gets crushed up, it comes out the first stage screen. So that may actually also make a thicker juice in this machine if doing softer fruits with like a pulp, like I think apples or something like pears, right? Whereas this machine, yeah, it's still going to put some pulp in there, but it's going to leave you give you a little bit less pulp, because also the screen holes are a little bit smaller on the VSJ than on the NC900 HD SS. Now going to hard vegetables like root vegetables, John, I want to juice just carrots. I don't want to juice anything else, right? So carrots, once again, carrots, you could put a carrot in here, chunk it in, chunk, chunk, chunk each carrot in, and on this side you got to put a carrot in, and then if it's a thick diameter, you're going to want to pull it out and then put it in, pull it out. So at least you're not having to actually push things in, but you have to feed it in at an appropriate and slow rate. I did make a video juicing 36 carrots and 2 apples in the VSJ. I'll put a link down below to that video if I remember, so you guys could see the actual technique I use, so it works beautifully. That being said, I think for hard vegetables, both these guys are pretty much a wash. So I'd kind of more focus on, do you want to juice more wheatgrass and leafy greens, or do you want to juice more fruits, right? If the fruits, then this guy, and if more wheatgrass and leafy greens, then this guy. But then, of course, that's just one of the considerations that you will have to factor in. Next, let's talk about cleaning, right? Cleaning can be a chore for many different people, and you know, if you want the easiest clean to juicer, this guy is the easiest to clean. It took me 80 seconds in a recent video where I declared this machine the easiest juicer to clean in the world. I'll put a link down below if I remember to that video so you guys could watch and see how easy it is to clean. That being said, this guy over here takes me about double the time. So instead of like 80, 90 seconds, which is a minute and a half, this guy takes me under about 3 minutes to clean. There is a bit more screen area there at the parts, there's more surface area on the parts, but it's really not that hard to clean. It's the easiest vertical single auger juicer I found to clean, and actually that's why I like it a lot. Alright, so let's go ahead and next and go ahead and show you guys actually how these machines work Basically, there's a feed chute here, and I do like this model, the NC series, because it has the largest feed chute of any horizontal single auger juicer on the market at this time. And how this works is you drop produce into the feed chute, and what happens is then it goes into this auger, and this is a horizontal auger. This is the GE Ultimate material, 8 times harder than augers on previous and probably other juicers on the market. You put it in, and this auger is rotating, and basically it chunks off a small piece at a time and basically forces it down the auger and crushes and squeezes out the juice and grinds it at the same time. Then, as you guys can see, the juice is then, all the liquid comes out of the screen, and all the pulp is ejected out of the front of the machine. So yeah, this is very simple, very few parts to clean. Assembly also is very easy. Nothing to line up. You basically just put this housing on very simply, very easily with this lever here, open and close. Put the auger in, put the screen in, face down. Slide that right in. And then you're going to slide on the end cap here. And then finally you have the outlet adjusting knob that has a 0 to 5. 0 is where you put it on, and 1 is for soft produce items, and 5 is for hard produce items. So if you're juicing wheatgrass, leafy greens, vegetables, I do recommend 5. If you're juicing vegetables with some fruit, then you're going to also leave it on 5. If you're juicing like mostly fruit, then you're going to want to put it at 1. It's going to leave a wetter pulp the lower the number you have. And over on this side, I like the VSJ because there's no kind of like number settings you have to remember, or nothing you have to do. And because this piece is small, people have dropped this down their garbage disposal and thrown it away by accident. So please be careful and know where all your parts are on your juicer. There's no small parts in the VSJ, and I kind of like that. This juicer works a little bit different. Once again, we got a feed chute here. The feed chute overall, the diameter is larger than the diameter on the NC800, so I do like that. Of course, the funnel size is a little bit smaller than the NC900. And how this works is you put the produce in the feed chute, then it goes into this auger. And this auger is a vertical auger. It's going up and down instead of horizontally. And this auger could take a larger bite or a larger chunk of produce as it chunks off and then works itself down this auger. And once again, works by the similar method. It crushes, squeezes, and grinds at the same time and squeezes out your juice. And as it's working, you have this juicing screen that the produce gets crushed into. And once again, there's a lot more surface area on this, so this means that the screen will get, tend to get clogged less. So over time, that may diminish the yields in the NC, whereas this one tends to get clogged less because there's a lot more screen area. Also, more screen area to clean in this, so this takes more time. The other nice feature of the VSJ843 is that it actually has an automatic wiping blade, and this is like windshield wipers on your car, right? Imagine driving without windshield wipers. Not so good, right? Especially in the rain, right? And what this guy does is, as your juicer's running, these windshield wipers spin around, so they spin and help to clean the screen while you're juicing, to wipe off the juice to get it out into your cup, so you're going to get a higher yield. Also makes the screen cleaning a little bit easier at the end. And then finally you have your juicing bowl. The juicing bowl is clear. You could actually do mixing in the bowl with this handy dandy juice flap. The other thing I like about this VSJ machine is that it will not drip on your counter when you're done juicing. When you're done juicing, you simply close this flap. All the drips are going to stay inside this juicing bowl, so your counter is going to remain clean. Over on the NC900, this one definitely will drip on your counters after you're done juicing. Juice will drip out of the spout, so it gets a little bit more messy. So I do like that feature on this one. And then the pulp is ejected out this side. And the challenge with this is that the pulp has to make a right angle turn. And this is where the challenges can start in the VSJ if you're not following my guidelines for juicing in the VSJ and other vertical juicers. Once again, I'll put a link down below this video. Juice like a pro in any vertical slow juicer, so you want to use those techniques for sure. And the other piece in here is there's a little flap here. So much like the adjuster here that goes from 1 to 5, 5 puts the maximum back pressure on it. This little silicone flap that gets plugged in basically puts some back pressure on the pulp while you're juicing it, so that it does not allow wet pulp out. So you always want to remove this during cleaning, and then wash it really well, and then put it back in for your next juicing session to ensure you get the highest yield. Now the other thing about this machine I like a lot is that it's really easy to assemble. There are some, dots you need to line up. This has to go on like that, and then you align the juicing wiping blade on the juicing screen, and then the auger needs to kind of go and get recessed, and these two little wing tips need to get recessed in the wiping blade, and then this guy basically just drops in and will go down in place, and then this auger goes in place and then locks down in place. The cool thing about the Omega VSJ843 is that this is an auto cleaning unit. Not so much on the NC900 with the VSJ843. You literally close this little juice flap, pour it full of water when you're done juicing, probably about 16 ounces. Let it run and let the water kind of slosh around in there, and it'll clean itself a little bit, drain out all the water, and then when you take this apart, it's going to be a lot easier to clean for you guys. It's not 100% auto cleaning, but doing it in this way is going to make your cleaning task a lot easier, because a lot of the extra residual juice and pulp will get basically flushed through the machine, so it'll be easier to clean. So I do like that feature a lot, and once again in the video down below, how to juice 36 carats in the VSJ, I show the auto cleaning function, which is quite handy, so I do like that a lot. Let me see. So other things on these juicers, like this guy has a larger footprint. So if you're in a tight, small apartment in New York City, you don't have a lot of counter space, right? This guy is pretty daggone long, and this guy has a smaller footprint, on the counter than this guy. Probably like maybe close to like half, because this guy is so long. This guy, instead of being long, is tall. I also kind of like the more modern look of the VSJ. Kind of looks nicer on your counter than this long looking thing. That's my personal opinion. That being said, there's things that this one will do that this one won't, and things this one will do that this one won't. So for example, if you want to do something like okra, so mature okra with the hard fibers, right? This machine will juice hard okra with the fibers. The fibers do not clog or stop it up. This machine, I would never do that on. So if you're really into it like I am, you might want to have two juicers. Want to have old school okra that's pretty old and hardcore, I'll juice it in here and I'll use this machine. But frankly, most of the time I use the VSJ843 in my home because I like how it works a lot easier. It's generally faster, quicker, and generally more efficient based on my testing of the things I've juiced. Let's see what else to say. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, so here's another thing is that this machine has no built-in safety switch. So you could take this machine apart, you could assemble it halfway, this machine will turn on, no problem for you, and that could be a good or a bad thing. And meanwhile, the VSJ, on the other hand, if it's not assembled properly, for example, you could turn it on and it doesn't work. John, my juicer doesn't work. Well, I recommend always when that happens is to, take your juicer apart, put it back together, and make sure it's properly assembled. There's been many times when people have called me, John, the juicer I just bought from you doesn't work. I call them up, troubleshoot on the phone, and say, hey, can you do me a favor, take it apart and put it back together. They come back and they say, oh, the juicer works. So, yeah, oh, and the other thing, I've had a rash of customers say, John, I got the VSJ and I can't take it apart. So, after you're done juicing, I do recommend a certain way to take your juicer apart, and it's like this. Basically, you're going to lift up on the two bottom, on the pulp ejection port, the juice ejection port, lift up on this while you're lifting up on this spout part here, and remove this whole top part, right? Then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and spin off the funnel, and then I like to dump that over, and then you're going to put your hand here, flip this upside down, and then you're going to take your finger and you're going to poke right here on the center hole, which is basically the stainless steel shaft of the auger. Push that down, and then the auger should come out. I've had some people say, John, the auger's stuck in there, and I'm kind of just befuddled by that. But sometimes if you're not following my procedures, there gets to be a lot of like airlock and pulp stuck in there, which can get and make things a bit tight to disassemble. But doing it in this way should make it easy for you guys. Then finally, you can just go ahead and pull out the juicing screen and the wiping blade and clean this on up in the sink. So the last thing I want to talk about before we get in actually to a juice off comparison of these two machines is actually the sound level. So the VSJ843 runs at 43 revolutions per minute. It tends to be fairly quiet. We're going to go ahead and turn that on for you guys. As you guys can see, it's fairly quiet. And then over on this side, the Omega NC900 series runs at 80 revolutions per minute. Also fairly quiet. I mean, I think they're pretty similar. Maybe this guy's a tad bit louder. And that being said, these are both slow juicers. Omega, sometimes I've called them masticating juicers. I wouldn't necessarily say that. I'd like to say cold press juicers, because literally masticating means to chew, and the only masticating juicer on the market is a Champion, which tends to grind up the produce but also heats it up at the same time, whereas these style machines don't really use teeth, so they don't create the friction and they don't create the heat that a masticating juicer does. So masticating juicers, in my opinion, are inferior, the Champion, to this style, which actually just crushes, grinds, and squeezes out the produce at low RPM, and in my opinion is considered a cold press, because literally you're crushing, squeezing, and pressing out the juice out of the produce. I think basically, to sum this part of the episode up, is that each of these machines have their pros and cons, and you have to find out what's most important to you. I think the first thing I would encourage you guys to do is find out what you want to juice. If you have no idea what you want to juice and you want to juice a little bit of everything, my inclination is to go with the VSJ843, because it's kind of a better overall juicer, than this guy. I also do need to say that this machine is more of a later design model. So the horizontal auger style has been out for many years, and just more recently, the vertical style came out, because they found that the horizontal, it has some downsides, and that's why they came out with the vertical that pretty much does everything the horizontal will do and a little bit more. Oh, let me go ahead and rephrase that a little bit, because the horizontal, besides just making juice, you also have what's called a blank plate. The blank plate is very useful, because you can put the blank plate in here, and now instead of just making juice, you can actually make frozen fruit sorbet. So you could actually take frozen bananas, frozen strawberries, frozen blueberries, frozen pineapple, frozen mango, put it through here, and then basically it crushes, grinds it up, and puts out a frozen yogurt consistency style sorbet. So this is a great idea if you guys are trying to get off ice cream and make healthy dietary changes. The other thing this guy could do with the blank plate is grind. So at the Ann Wigmore Institute in Puerto Rico, they just basically put cabbage chunks in here with the blank plate and grind up the cabbage, and then that cabbage is ready to get fermented into sauerkraut quickly and easily. I've also made things like salsa in here by basically mushing up and grinding all the different ingredients and having them into a little mixture. You can also grind and mince things like garlic and other items. So for example, coffee. You could grind coffee in here, and it'll grind up into ground coffee if you still drink coffee. I don't necessarily recommend that. But other herbs, depending on their hardness, can also be ground in the Omega NC900. So that's some of the multi-features. Oh, this guy could also make the nut butters too, right? And that's some of the features now. So while it can do those features, this machine, while it can make nut milks, I do not recommend it for that, because in general, it basically makes a really more pulpy nut milk and doesn't work quite as well as the VSJ843. The VSJ843, on the other hand, makes an amazing nut milk. It's probably the best juicer on the market that will juice and also make nut milk, because it is so efficient at juicing. You could literally take your nuts and soak them, pour off the soak water, then take your nuts and blend them up with water, take that blended concoction, and then pour that through the machine with no pusher or whatever, and let it sit in there, and actually it's going to kick out dry pulp and give you some really nice, clean and filtered nut milk to drink. Coconuts are by far my favorite nut milk to make in the VSJ843. Now, while this machine does not have a blank plate like the NC900 over here, the Omega VSJ also allows you to make sorbets and nut butters. I'll post a link down below to that video if I remember. That being said, this machine will not do any other, kind of grinding tasks like the NC900 would. So you might want to consider that. I mean, as you guys can see, each of these machines have their own sets of pros and cons. If you guys want to save more time cleaning because you really hate cleaning, well then this machine's for you if you don't mind that it might actually take you a longer time to juice depending on the quantity you're juicing, right? If you guys want to have a shorter overall time for juicing experience and you're going to do, for example, a juice fast where you're juicing massive quantities of juice, right? You might want to go with this one because this guy overall, especially when juicing like 32, 64 ounces, is going to be faster overall than this guy, because simply you could just be dropping in produce and it's going to juice, you know, whereas this one, oh, and it has because it's a vertical feed chute, it takes actually 2 chunks at the same time, whereas this guy only takes 1 chunk at a time. So, I mean, once again, pros and cons. I make these videos to educate you guys so you guys could figure out what juicer is going to be the best one for you. So I think the last part of this episode today, what I'd like to do is actually, we're going to go ahead and do a juice off comparison, juicing equal amounts of carrots and oranges in both these machines to find out the yield, to see which of these juicers will reign supreme in this comparison test today. So now I'm all set up, ready to juice in both these machines. I basically got a pile of produce, so I got even amounts of carrots and oranges in each bowl on scales. So first I want to go ahead and do a weigh-in for you guys so you guys can see we have a fair and even fight today. Alright, so we got the produce weighed out, and let's go ahead and do a weigh-in. Over on this side looks like we got a total of 980 grams of produce. And over on this side looks like we also have 980 grams of produce. So we got about 500 grams of carrots in there, and the rest is oranges. So that's about a pound of each. Looks like we got a fair fight. Alright, so it looks like we got even amounts of produce in each pitcher there. So let's go ahead and remove the scales out of the equation. What I'm going to do instead is we're going to go ahead and replace it with an iPhone. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and time the actual juicing process so you guys could see which one takes more when juicing approximately 2 pounds of produce in each machine. Alright, so we got a stopwatch there. And actually I think I'm going to first go ahead and juice in the Omega NC900. So basically I've cut the oranges in half so they'll kind of fit in the VSJ alright without pre-cutting, but not really going to fit in the NC900, so I'm going to have to go ahead and pre-cut the oranges, but I'm going to do that while we're juicing. So let's go ahead and hit the start button, and let's turn this machine on. We're going to go ahead and start and cut an orange into quarters. Put that right in the machine. It kind of drops in, and as you guys can see, it's just kind of rotating and sitting there. So you need to use the pusher to kind of push it in, right? Now, in any juicer, I always encourage you guys to rotate the produce items you're juicing. You know, here it is, the carrot, we put that in there, and if you just let it sit in there, it basically comes up and down, it doesn't actually go in. So we're just going to go ahead and have to push that in, basically 1 chunk at a time. The auger comes around, takes off a chunk, it goes in a little bit further. And this is the part that I feel is a bit time consuming, but once again, it depends on what you're juicing. You know, if you cube up everything into small cubes, it'll basically auto feed, but if you don't do that, then you're going to push each item in. Sometimes I just like to use the next carrot, you know, to push in the previous item. And sometimes they say if you put in the small end first, then it kind of auto feeds a little bit, which it is kind of doing to some extent, but at that point it's just riding up and down. You're going to go ahead and have to push the rest in. Alright, so next we're going to go ahead and cut up a next orange. So to save you guys the agony, time, and expense, I think I'm just going to go ahead and put this on fast forward for you guys so you guys can see it sped up and then see the allotted time when I'm done. Alright, so I'm just about done juicing in the Omega NC900. I have one orange left, so you always want to put a soft item like as second to last thing, and then you're going to put the hardest item in last. In this case it's a carrot, so we're going to push in that orange with the carrot, and we're just going to go ahead and drop that carrot in. Small end first, it's kind of auto feeding to some extent, but as soon as the carrot gets too big of a diameter, basically just rides up and sits and keeps going up and down, so then we're going to have to use the pusher to push it in. Now as soon as you see the last bit of carrot go in, right, now don't just, okay, the carrot's in, turn it off immediately, because as you guys can see, the pulp is still coming out. When the pulp is still coming out, that means the juicer is still working you know, to basically squeeze out and get all the juice out of that last bit of carrot. Once it runs for, you know, I don't know, maybe 15, 30 seconds more, the pulp stops, then you could turn the machine off. Another thing I recommend you guys do, because this guy will drip on your counter, is you want to lift this up this direction, and then also maybe lift it up this direction a little bit to help get some any extra juice out. And so let's go ahead and hit the stop button. So just juice about 2 pounds in the Omega NC900 took about 4.5 minutes. So now I'm all ready to juice in the Omega VSJ843. May have to cut the oranges up once again in quarters. I mean, they will fit by half, but then I have to kind of shove them in there. Won't be as cool. Let's go ahead and turn that machine on, hit the start button there, and once again start by cutting that orange in half and then dropping that guy in. Next we're going to go ahead and take a carrot and drop that in there and let it take off a couple of chews. And then once we have the rest in there, we're just going to go ahead and drop that in. Once again, we can take that orange, drop it in. You know, I do like this a little bit better because literally you put the produce in, you pull it out, drop it in a little bit, pull it out, and then just drop it in. And it basically, it juices on its own. You don't have to keep pushing each item in. I personally find that to be a little bit of a pain. Once again, on the carrot, let it take off 2 chews, pull it up, let it take off 2 chews, pull it up. Then we're going to go ahead and put in another quarter of orange. Then let it take off a couple more chews, pull it up until we have a, you know, a smaller diameter carrot. And then finally at that stage, you could just drop the carrot in and it should juice right up. Next, we're going to go ahead and take that orange, drop it in, and once again, we're going to follow that with a carrot. What I'm going to do to save you guys some time, as you guys saw, we want to repeat the produce items. We want to just keep rotating the items, and we're going to speed this up for you guys to save you guys some time right now. All right. Alright, so I'm just about done juicing in the Omega VSJ843. Once again on the VSJ, like the NC900, you always want to feed in a carrot last. As you guys can see, the pulp is coming out over on this side, all the juice is coming out over on that side, and we're just going to go ahead and drop that baby in. I really personally like how the VSJ, you don't have to sit there and use the pusher and put every chunk in. It's just basically gravity does all the work for you so that you don't have to. Once again, once you put that last produce item in, you're going to let it run maybe another 15, 30 seconds until the pulp stops flowing out of the machine and all the juice drips out. Looks like we pretty much got it all. We're going to hit the stop button right here. And that's basically took 2 minutes and 40 seconds. So that's like a minute or two faster than the NC900. So that's some time savings. Although cleaning's going to take you a little bit longer. Go ahead and turn that baby off, move this baby out of the way, and what I want to do next for you guys is actually we're going to go ahead and do the yield comparison. So we can't necessarily do a straight yield comparison because of the fact that these are 2 different pitchers. And once again on the VSJ, when you're done, I always encourage you guys to tip it up a little bit, get any extra juice out, then you could close that juice flap so that it doesn't drip on your counter. Over on the NC900, what I've done is I've just taken the pulp catch container, put it under the juice, you know, a spout, so that we don't get any drips on the counter. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and take the same exact measuring cups and the same exact sieve, and we're going to go ahead and pour each of the juices through the sieve so we could, number one, see how much pulp each juicer made, so you could find out what juicer made more pulp, because you might like more or less pulp in your juice. And the other thing we'll see is how much juice each juicer made after filtering out the pulp. You know, the pulp in the juice will artificially inflate the yield of the juice, and that's why I like to remove it. NC900 here, you know, made a fair bit of pulp here. Alright, looks like we got the pulp from the NC900. There it is. Next, let's go ahead and strain out the juice made in the VSJ843. So pouring this in instantly, you know, I'm seeing there's a much less pulp and definitely a little bit better consistency on the juice. Let me go ahead and shake this one down. The VSJ made actually much less pulp than the Omega NC900. I would say maybe like 1/3 less pulp. Let's see how accurate I am by weighing out the pulp here. So on the scale, including the sieve, the pulp weight is 128 grams over on the Omega NC900. Over on the Omega VSJ, pulp is 109 grams, including the sieve. Actually, let's just weigh the pulp. Oops. 14 grams. So that kind of gives you an idea of how much the sieve weighs. So yeah, definitely the NC900 made more pulp in the juice. Next, let's go ahead and do a close-up on the yields for you guys to see which juicer will reign supreme. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at the close-ups on the juice to find out how much each juicer made. So it looks like over here on the NC900 side, we're at about 550 milliliters of juice. And I want you guys to look at the texture of the juice in there, right? I mean, I see like a lot of particulate in there. I mean, it has been strained, but there's still, you know, lots of little particulate pieces in there. Over on the VSJ843, looks like we have actually a lot cleaner juice. You know, I don't see any particulate in there, although the yield is basically about 525 milliliters of juice. So it looks like the NC900 actually made 25 more milliliters of juice. So that was very interesting. I was actually expecting the VSJ to win, but in this situation, the NC900 made 25 more milliliters of juice. 25 milliliters is not a lot of juice. It's approximately a little bit more than 4% more juice. So I personally don't believe that's a significant number. You know, what is important to me is the juice quality. So what I want to do next is actually we're going to go ahead and sample a little bit of the juices made. Even though we've strained them through the similar size sieves, you know, once again, the NC900 made significantly more pulp, at least maybe double or maybe 3 times as much. And that's a good juice, but I do taste some particulate. This is evidenced by when I poured it. You guys can see like all the little spots. That's some of the pulp residuals that actually made it through the sieve into my glass. It's like really fine particulate. Next, on the VSJ 843 juice, you know, when I poured it, you know, there is some spotting, which means there's a bit of fiber in there, but actually less fiber. Next, let's go ahead and taste this juice. I definitely clearly taste a difference. Definitely less fiber in this juice, so some of the fiber may make up some of the, you know, difference yield. I don't know if it's 25 milliliters of fiber or not, but to me this juice is more agreeable since there's actually less particulate in there. That being said, you know, in my opinion, most people will not even need to filter out their juice because the VSJ actually made a very little particulate in the first place. That's a good juice. And here's the other thing, right? I juiced oranges and carrots today, right? That's an excellent recipe for juicing fruits in the Omega NC900. Say you want to juice pineapple, right? Pineapple on its own won't necessarily juice in the NC900. It'll kind of get stuck up and start backing up on you. But if you do a piece of pineapple, piece of carrot, piece of pineapple, piece of carrot, it's going to juice great, just like this for you. Over on the VSJ though, you could juice straight pineapple without issues, without having to have the carrot. You know, that being said, pineapple carrot juice is probably healthier than just a sheer pineapple juice for you guys. And I do encourage you guys to juice purple carrots if you guys can't find them. They're even more, at least 10 times more nutritious, in my estimation, than the standard orange carrots. I think at the end of every episode, I always have to declare a winner of the juice off and of the 2 best Omega juicers, slow juicers in the market. And to me, I mean, once again, each juicer has these pros and cons. You want less cleaning time, go with this guy. If you want an overall less time spending with juicing, then go with this guy. It took us less time actually juicing. I mean, if you're going to do more wheatgrass, then you want to do this guy. But if you're going to do 50% or less greens, and other things, all kinds of different things. And then this guy, if you don't want pulp in your juice, then this guy's going to make less pulp. If you don't want to have to push each produce item in, you prefer to cut things up. This guy, I try to explain all the pros and cons to you, but this is my recommendation at the end of this video. If you want to just pretty much juice everything, you want to have a good time at it, it's going to work more efficiently without any hassles, taking you less time, putting less pulp in your juice, you're going to want to go with the Omega VSJ843. That's the one I use. And yeah, I like the VSJ843 because I've used this juicer plenty of times before the verticals came out. And I find that the VSJ is just my dream juicer at this point in time. And I do hope and pray that soon there will be new juicers. These are not Omega's newest juicers. Omega recently came out the Omega MV700, which is their newest vertical single auger with a wide feed chute. I do have a comparison testing that one against this one. My personal preference is still the Omega VSJ. And then, of course, on the NC900 HD SS, Omega did come out with a Omega Cube juicer that kind of looks cool, compacts down into a light, nice, storable cube unit. But, I personally prefer this unit because of the larger feed chute and, due to its durability, long warranty, and also where it's made. Nonetheless, with most Omega juicers, you can't go wrong, but I encourage you guys to get the best ones. Why shortchange yourself? These guys are just maybe, in some cases, this guy's less than the new model, and in this case, actually, I think maybe a little bit more, no, actually less. The NC800 is less money than the Cube juicer. As shown here, it's a bit more because of the stainless steel body. And this is the model that I like of the NC series. Yeah, so that'll do it for this episode. Please leave your comments and questions down below. I'll try to answer them if I am able. Also be sure to click the links down below this video if you would like to learn more or purchase either of these juicers. I do encourage you guys to support me in my work by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com, right? If you purchase at discountjuicers.com, this allows me to continue to make these educational videos for you guys, which I do appreciate you guys that have purchased from me in the past, and I thank you guys for those of you guys that will purchase from me in the future, so I can continue to do this work to share the truth about juicers. If you buy your juicer anywhere else, I'm not going to get the credit, and I might not be able to make these or other videos on YouTube anymore, which I enjoy, literally sharing the truth and sharing what I've learned with you guys. And also I want to let you guys know that we do our price match policy, so if you find a lower price anywhere else from an authorized dealer, it's very important to purchase your juicer through an authorized dealer and retailer, because if you don't use an authorized retailer, you may not get the factory warranty with your machine, because there can be black market, gray market machines out there. So we will match any authorized retailer the total delivered price, so you don't have to worry about you're not going to get the best price, you can get it cheaper somewhere else. You will get the best price from us because we will match the price. And also you'll get service that you won't get from the big box companies, right? If you have challenges with your juicer, they don't have a juicer expert on staff to answer all your questions to make sure, you're going to be set. You're going to know how to juice, right? I'm the juicer expert on staff. I've juiced more than probably anybody else in the juicing industry that I'm aware of. I pretty much, if I'm home, juice every day in my VSJ843. I love it. And I have experience, right? More experience than any of the people that I've met at any of the juicing companies to date. Because, while they may sell the juicers and they're great people, I'm here in the trenches, juicing every day for you guys. And when you have a challenge, let me know what it is, right? Let me specifically know, John, I'm juicing these exact items in the VSJ. It's not working. I'll even go out so far as I have before, buy those items, juice it in the juicer, make a video for you guys to show you guys how it works or how it doesn't work. And at this point in time, every time I buy the produce items that some of these have problems with and I show them how to do it properly, it works fine. So it's pretty much just adjusting how you're juicing. In addition, you're going to get support from me if you have warranty challenges. If you have warranty challenges with Omega, and there's been some reports that sometimes people don't get warranty support from them, let me know. If you purchase from Discount Juicers, I'll ensure that you get your warranty taken care of by Omega, because Omega knows that they want my customers to be happy customers, because they know that I make many video reviews online. And to date, I'm happy to say that all my customers that I've sent to Omega have gotten their warranty needs met. And that's something you're not going to get, once again, with a big box store. So yeah, hopefully you guys purchase at discountjuicers.com. Once again, links are below to both these machines so you guys could find them. If you guys enjoyed this episode and want more comparison juicer videos in the future, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also be sure to click that subscribe button right down below for to get notified my new and upcoming episodes that have come out every 5 to 7 days. You never know what juicer, vacuum blender, or even dehydrator I'll be reviewing. Any appliance that allows you to eat more fruits and vegetables, I'm all there. And also be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. I have over 500 episodes on this channel dedicated to comparing all the different juicers, all the name brand juicers on the market to one another. Even sometimes I use some cheap Chinese juicers so you guys could learn the difference between the juicers so you guys could get the right juicer for you, because that's what's most important to me, right? Juicing has literally changed my life, and I'm positive that it can change your life too. More importantly, if you get the right juicer and you juice every day and, you know, get rid of some of the foods you're eating. You know, the easiest way to do it is to basically just, you know, juice as much fresh juice as you want, 32, 64 ounces, whatever you need to take to get full for breakfast. And then don't eat your normal breakfast. Juice is one of the best things, in my opinion, you guys could have for breakfast because it's so easy to digest, right? And most things people are putting into their bodies at breakfast time, not the easiest thing to digest, and that may, you know, digestion takes a lot of energy from you, as you know, after you eat a big Thanksgiving or Christmas meal. In any case, I gotta get running. Once again, this is John Kohler with discountjuicers.com. Be sure to visit discountjuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers, discount coupons for our visitors.